What if I told you there's one habit that's been slowly draining your energy, killing your drive, and making you feel stuck? And you've been doing it for years without even thinking about it. It gives you a quick high, a moment where it feels like everything's okay, but right after, that dip hits. You feel off, empty, like something's missing. Your focus slips. Your motivation tanks. And that part of you that used to feel sharp, confident, powerful, fades a little more each time. We're not talking drugs, not alcohol. This isn't about some big, obvious vice. This is something most guys never even question. Something that feels normal, harmless. But it's not. This is the habit that's slowly weakening your discipline, chipping away at your masculinity, and keeping you from becoming who you're actually meant to be. This isn't about shaming anyone. That's not what this is. This is about being real and showing you what's actually going on beneath the surface. Because once you see the damage for what it is, you won't be able to unsee it. And that's where change starts. Stick around. We're going to break down the cycle, show you how to take your power back, and rebuild real strength, mentally, physically, and as a man. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're ready to grow, hit like, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs to hear it. Let's get to work. You already know how it goes. The urge shows up out of nowhere. You give in. Quick release. It's over in minutes. Then what? That weird emptiness hits. Your chest feels kinda hollow. Your mind's foggy. Motivation? Gone. Focus? Gone. And it's not just in your head. There's something real happening every time. Your brain gets hit with a wave of dopamine, the reward chemical. But here's the thing. You didn't earn it. You didn't win a fight, crush a workout, solve a problem. You just got a reward for doing nothing. It's like getting a medal for walking into the gym, then walking right back out without touching a single weight. Do that enough times, and it messes with you. Your brain starts thinking that pleasure should come easy, that satisfaction doesn't need effort. So when real work shows up, like going to the gym, staying focused, building something meaningful, your brain's like, nah, what's the point? And slowly your drive fades. You push things off, you scroll, you zone out. Then later you wonder why everything feels stuck in the same place. Let's be honest, most guys don't fail because they're not smart or strong. They fail because they're running on empty before the day even starts. That's the hidden cost of this habit. It steals your edge without you even noticing. And because it feels normal, you think it's harmless. But normal doesn't mean harmless. Let me paint it clearer. There's this story about Mike Tyson, back when he was in his prime. Before every fight, he'd go completely celibate for weeks. Not for show, not because someone told him to, but because he believed it gave him a mental edge. More aggression, more focus, more fire. Now think about the guy waking up late, glued to his screen, draining himself before he even brushes his teeth. Tell me, who's walking into life stronger? This isn't about pretending to be a monk. It's about realizing that your habits are either building you up or slowly breaking you down. Here's the real trap. You think you're relaxing, but you're not actually resting. You're emptying the tank without putting anything back in. And over time, your baseline drops so low you start thinking that fog, that lack of energy, that's just who you are now. But it's not. You used to be sharp. You used to have fire. That version of you isn't gone. He's just buried under cheap dopamine and habits that drain instead of fuel. Think about how you feel right after giving in. Not later. Not tomorrow. Right after. You close the tab. You sigh. Then you just sit there, scrolling or staring at nothing. You don't feel satisfied. You feel numb. That escape. That's the real issue. Because every time you run to it, you're teaching yourself to avoid pressure. And if you're always avoiding pressure, you never grow. This isn't just about energy. It's about identity. Every time you give in, you're not just losing momentum. You're telling yourself you can't control your own actions. That creates a mindset of weakness. And once that mindset sets in, it shows up everywhere. In your goals, your work, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. You shrink without even realizing it. But here's the good news, it's not permanent. None of it is. The moment you actually see what's going on, when you really get it, you can start to take your power back. Because the habit isn't the problem, being ruled by it is. So if you're tired of feeling tired, if you're done starting over every week, then stay locked in. And if this hit something real for you, hit like, drop a comment and subscribe. You're not in this alone. We're right here with you. Let's talk about something that's easy to miss, but powerful enough to mess up your whole life if you don't catch it. It's the pleasure trap. It sneaks in little by little. You chase the quick fix, the easy dopamine hit. And every time you do, you give up a little bit of control. Feels harmless, right? Just a quick scroll, a snack, a release. You tell yourself, it's nothing, but it adds up. And eventually, it runs the show. Here's what's actually going on. Your brain starts to expect rewards without the work. It rewires itself for short bursts of feel-good moments. So instead of going after long-term wins, you start settling for the quick hit. The easy path. The stuff that feels good now, but leaves you empty after. It's like dumping sugar into your system all day. Feels good for a second, but you crash. And every time you do it, it gets harder to resist the next hit. Take a normal day. You check your phone, scroll for 5 minutes, that turns into 30. Then you binge something. Then maybe you eat junk. Then maybe you go back to the screen. Each thing gives you just enough of a high to keep going, but not enough to actually feel satisfied. You lose hours. You feel more drained than before. And the worst part, you don't even see it as a problem because it's normal. Everyone does it. That's the trap. When comfort becomes routine and routine becomes control. You start choosing comfort over growth. You pick what's easy over what's meaningful. And over time, that kills your discipline. Let's get real. Think about a guy like John, regular dude, wants to improve, wants to be better. But every night, after work, he sits in front of the TV or the computer, tells himself he's just winding down. A few minutes turns into hours, and slowly his goals start to fade. His energy drops. His ambition disappears. Eventually he realizes what's happening, so he flips it. Starts replacing the distractions with something simple. Reading, walking, doing stuff that actually gives something back. It's not easy. But little by little, he starts to feel alive again. That's the shift. And it's not just about screens. It's anything that gives you a hit without meaning. Junk food, procrastination, even pointless drama. You chase it when you're stressed, or bored, or uncomfortable. Then you crash and the cycle repeats. And here's where it gets deep. If you keep chasing those hits, you stop trusting yourself. Because deep down, you know you're choosing the easy way. You feel it, and it chips away at your self-respect, one lazy decision at a time. Seneca said it best, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." If you're being run by urges, if every little discomfort sends you running to some distraction, you're not in control. And if you're not in control, what are you really doing? Because that's not strength, that's just survival. Ask yourself this. Are you the kind of guy who runs toward the hard stuff? Or the kind that hides behind comfort because every time you give in, you make that choice. And every time you fight back, even once, you're rewriting your story. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to stop giving up so easy. Each moment you resist, you get stronger. And each moment you choose growth over comfort, you get closer to the man you're meant to be. This stuff is real. You can feel it in your day. You know how many times you've picked distraction over purpose. And those decisions, they shape everything. So if you see yourself in this, if you know you're stuck in that loop, just know you're not alone. And it's not a flaw, it's a habit. And habits can change. If this spoke to you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Let's build something better together. We're not done yet. The next part, we're going deep on what the great men already knew long before this became a conversation. Stick around. Let's stop acting like this is some new revelation. Real men, men who actually built something, stood for something, have known this truth for a long time. It's not about being the richest, or the loudest, or the most followed. It's about control. Not control over other people, control over yourself, your mind, your habits, your time, especially your urges. Were they perfect? No. But the ones who really did something that mattered, they didn't do it by chasing comfort. They did it by choosing discipline when no one was watching. Take Marcus Aurelius. Guy was emperor of Rome. Dude had pressure. On every side, wars, politics, people constantly pulling at him. And still, he wrote about waking up early, doing the hard thing, staying focused. Not for fame, just because it was the right thing to do. He didn't define freedom as doing whatever you feel like. He saw it as owning your actions, not letting cravings or emotions steer the wheel. That's real power. And that mindset, it's not stuck in history books. You can live it right now. It shows up in the small moments. You're alone. You're bored. You're stressed. You reach for your phone or food or whatever gives that quick hit. That's the test. Right there. Because how you act when no one's watching, that's the real version of you. That's where your identity is getting built. Here's another one. David Goggins. Former Navy SEAL, ultramarathon beast, total savage. But he wasn't always that guy. He used to be addicted to comfort, junk food, video games, skipping workouts. He let himself go. Over 300 pounds. One day, he just looked in the mirror and got brutally honest. He wasn't just out of shape, he was out of control, no discipline, no direction, so he made a decision. Started doing hard things on purpose, bit by bit, day by day. He didn't wait for motivation, he didn't wait for perfect, he just got to work. And now, he's built like iron, mentally and physically. You don't have to run 100 miles, but you do have to ask yourself, are you making decisions that turn you into the man you want to be? Or are you just stuck being the version you've settled for? Because here's the truth. Guys who live on impulse, they stay average. They don't build. They bounce from one distraction to the next and wonder why nothing changes. But the ones who take control, they shape their own reality. They don't need to be told what to do. They don't chase rewards. They trust themselves. And that self-trust builds momentum you can't fake. The greats weren't lucky. They weren't special. They were just consistent. They showed up. Did the hard things. Didn't complain. Didn't wait to feel ready. They just handled business again and again. You've got that same choice every day. Let the world decide who you are, or take the wheel and choose it yourself. If this is landing with you, pause for a second. Like the video, drop a comment if you've ever felt stuck in that loop, and subscribe if you're done following the crowd and ready to start leading yourself. We're not done yet. Next up, we're going to break down how you actually take your power back. Not just in theory, for real. Let's go. All right. We've called out the problem. We've broken down the trap. Now let's talk about how to actually break free. Because yeah, it's one thing to say, stop doing it. It's another to know how to stop and make it stick. And no, this isn't about being perfect, or guilt, or shame. This is about taking back control from a habit that's been robbing you of your strength for way too long. There are a few things that actually work. Not hacks, not quick fixes, just real decisions, hard ones. But if you make them, they'll change everything. First, discipline. And yeah, I get it. That word gets thrown around so much it almost doesn't mean anything anymore. But real discipline, it's power, straight up. Most People hear discipline and think restriction, like it's about saying no to everything. That's wrong. Discipline is saying yes to the things that actually matter. It's having a moment where your brain says, just do it real quick, no one will know, and choosing to hold the line anyway. Not because someone's watching, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because every time you say no to that urge, you build something in yourself, that quiet strength, that proof that you're in control. You won't win every battle, that's fine. But the point isn't being perfect. The point is fighting back, building the reps, making resistance your default instead of surrender. Second, purpose. Most guys don't fall off because they're weak. They fall off because they're drifting, no direction, no clear target, just coasting. When your days don't mean anything, your mind starts looking for cheap pleasure just to feel alive. That's when the old habit grabs you. But when you're building something, when you've got momentum and a goal in front of you, you don't need the hit. You've got something bigger pulling you forward. Doesn't have to be some massive life mission. Could be as simple as training again, starting a side hustle, learning a skill, anything that gives your energy a place to go. One guy in our community struggled with this for years, couldn't break the loop. Then he started waking up early to train for a half marathon. That was it. No deep reason, no big speech, just a target. Within weeks, the old habit didn't have the same pull, because he wasn't empty anymore. He had somewhere to go. Last one, transmutation. That energy you've been wasting, that urge, it's not just lust, it's fuel. The most powerful energy you've got as a man, and here's the wild part. You can redirect it. You can use it to build, to create, to go harder, to focus deeper. Guys like Tesla, Newton, even ancient warriors and monks, they didn't give up pleasure because they were saints. They just understood the value of their energy. They held it, used it, transformed it into something that mattered. You feel the urge coming on, channel it into your workout, your project, your hustle. That's energy moving, not leaking. And once you do that long enough, you start to notice the shift. More focus, more drive, less time wasted on stupid stuff. You're not stuck scrolling. You're acting with purpose again. None of this is easy. It's not supposed to be. But if you want to feel alive again, like actually alive, like your mind and body are locked in, this is how you get there. Discipline, direction, transmutation, that's the toolbox. That's how you flip the script. If this helped, hit like, drop a comment and let me know what you're going to start with, and subscribe, because the next part, that's the payoff. What actually happens when you quit for real and never look back. Let's keep moving. So let's talk about what actually happens when you quit. Not skipping a day here and there. Not stopping because you feel guilty. I'm talking about quitting with intention. Giving your mind and body time to reset. For real. The shift is real, and if you've never felt it, you have no idea what you're missing. You start waking up clear, not just rested but sharp. Present. Like your brain isn't wrapped in fog anymore. You walk into your day with a different kind of focus. And the best part? You're not second-guessing yourself. You're not walking around carrying that low-key shame, that guilt that used to show up after every time you slipped. Gone. Instead, you look people in the eye again. You feel aligned, solid, and yeah, your energy doesn't just come back. It multiplies. Your workouts hit harder. You stop quitting on yourself halfway through the day. That momentum builds fast. Even how you carry yourself changes. People notice it. You stand different, talk different, not because you're trying to act confident, but because you feel different. That quiet confidence starts showing up without you forcing it. None of this is hype. This isn't some life hack or motivational fluff. This is what happens when you stop draining your power every single day and actually start charging it. I'll give you some real stories. One guy in our community went 90 days, cold. He said the first 2 weeks were hell. But after that, his sleep got better. His mind felt lighter. He wasn't chasing validation anymore. He didn't need constant noise or distraction. For the first time in years, he said he was actually proud of himself. Another guy realized he'd been talking about starting a business for years, always had an excuse, always distracted. He quit the habit cold. 3 months later, that business was live, not perfect, but real. He stopped watching other people build and finally stepped into the game. That's the shift. You don't quit just to feel clean. You quit to get your edge back, your instincts, your ability to face discomfort without needing to run from it, because that's the version of you that builds something real, that doesn't fold when things get hard, that doesn't keep starting over. This habit, the one we've been breaking down the whole time, it's not just about wasted time. It's a block. A wall between the man you are right now and the man you could be. When you quit, that wall starts to crumble, and everything changes. You stop drifting, you start leading, you stop settling, you start building. Your mind gets sharper, your body feels stronger, your relationships get better, your future gets clearer. So ask yourself, what could your life look like 30 days from now if you stopped giving your energy to something that gives you nothing back? That shift starts with one choice, one day, one stand, and once you feel it, you won't want to go back. If this part hit you, like the video, drop a comment and let us know your day one. And if you're serious about building a new standard for yourself, subscribe. Because the last piece is coming. The final challenge. The moment of truth. Let's finish strong. So here we are. You've heard it all. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just truth. Now the question is simple. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep letting this one habit run your life? Keep trading your energy, your confidence, your focus for a few seconds of relief? Or are you going to rise above it? Because every time you give in, you're sending yourself a message, whether you realize it or not. You're saying, I can't handle pressure. You're saying, I need escape. You're saying, I'm not strong enough. And the more you give in, the louder that message gets. But it works the other way too. Every time you resist, even once, you're rewriting the story. You're saying, I'm in control. You're saying, I don't run from hard things. You're saying, I'm building something. And that confidence, it builds one small win at a time. That's how you create a new standard. This isn't about being perfect. No one is. This is about deciding what kind of man you're becoming. If you've been playing small, if you've been stuck in the loop, hiding behind distractions, comfort, or silence, this is the moment you flip the switch. No more waiting. No more, I'll try tomorrow. If this hit you, subscribe now, like the video, drop a comment and let us know what you're doing differently starting today. This channel isn't for comfort seekers. It's for men who are ready to build something real. You in? Let's move.